So now that you've got the saw part like this, it's a good time to replace the spark plug. The spark plug boot or cap is right here. Sometimes it's a bit hard to get it off with your hands. If that's the case, just use a pair of pliers like this and you can pull like that. Next, you need your spark plug wrench. Here's the old plug. It still looks good, but I'm going to replace it as a maintenance schedule. This is the plug that was in there, an NGK BPMR 7A. I recommend using this type of plug in there. So with my spark plug gap tool, I'm just going to gap it at 30. That's what the other plug was at. Like that. And then just put it on. Before you put the plug on, make sure that the top cap here is on tight. I usually tighten it up with a pair of pliers before putting them in, because sometimes they rattle loose. When it's a new plug, you want to tighten it a bit more. And now I'll just reinsert the spark plug boot and we're all done. Make sure it's pushed in all the way till it clicks in there. Now at this point we're ready to put in the carburetor. What I've had to do here on this fuel line is I put a little spring over it just so that it goes in tighter in the intake tube of the carburetor here. The hose was a bit loose. Now remember that when you slide the carb in, this pipe here is going to go into this fuel line here. And this pipe here is going to hook up to this one. So now we're ready to install our carburetor. This here points out. Now we're going to grab the carburetor linkage, throttle linkage, and insert it like this into the carburetor so that it's hooked up to it. Once you've got it hooked up, just slide it in to both bolts by pushing down. Make sure that the linkage is still on the carb. And that hose here automatically goes into the other one. And now we're going to hook up this fuel line. Make sure that the rubber tubes for adjusting the power screws are lined up. Next, we're going to install our choke knob, and the shaft here is shaped like the letter D, so it's only going to fit in one way. So I'll line it up and then just push, and it's going to go in all the way. And then try it out. So that's working good. The next thing to install is the carburetor shroud cover, which is going to go like this. Remember that the pipe here will go on to the carburetor pipe here, and just push down on that like this. Next, there's two 5/16 nuts, which are going to go here and here. Tighten them down evenly. While you're at it, you might as well put a brand new air filter there. This is what I did. I purchased a new one. They're not cheap here. I paid like $12.99 here for that. And the last thing for this part of the saw is the cover here to be put on. So that's in. And check your throttle to make sure it's working good, and it is. Now all I've got left to do is to install the chain and the bar. So when you put your chain back on, if you haven't done this before, make sure that this notch, this pin here, goes in the hole for the bar. That's to adjust the bar with. So the saw's all put together now. So I'm going to try it out and see if that was a problem. So I've already started it earlier, and she should go the first pull. So it's running good now. I'm going to call the guy and tell him. So from this video you can see that a simple hole in an intake boot can cause a lot of problems.